start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 2, open public forum. Anybody that's not on the agenda wishing to speak. Go ahead, Rita.
Come stand up there or what?
Yeah, why don't you, right in front of the microphone so everybody can hear it.
All right, I am Rita Hannon and I'm the president of the Historical Society. And I wanted to come and just talk about an event that we have coming up on March 27th that you might be interested in doing. It's in the evening, usually our events in the morning. This one is in the evening and it's partnership with the library and the Friends of the Library and the Legacy grant money that the library received for speakers. So we have, title is called Minnesota's Wild and Woolly Prohibition Days. And the speaker is named Arn Kine, and he comes in character. He might be dressed up as a gangster or a federal agent or something. And he does a really interesting presentation about the Prohibition years. And a lot of us probably have heard about the stills and things in this area. So there's a lot of history and interest in the area. So you might be interested in coming to see that. He brings a lot of things, including a still. And so you might want to come and see what they were doing back in the 20s and 30s to survive, basically. So that's all I have. We have other events. If you want to, find out about it, you can like us on Facebook and, get on our Facebook list and hear about the different things that we have. So,
What day and time is that?
March 27th at 6:30 p.m. at the DEF building, where the community ed classes and the senior center are. So that's where it'll be. Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. I need a motion on the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 4, consent agenda. Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. And Gary makes a motion. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 5, Fire Department report. Dan Weber.
What's that?
How's he?
How we doing?
Good.
Good.
You want to do the first one first, Steve?
You want me to
Do that. Or you want me to?
Okay. Approval to hire firefighters. Recommendation to approve the firefighter hiring committee's recommendation to fill 2 current openings with Stephen Wheat and Justin Walters contingent upon successful completion of the standard physical examination. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. There you go.
Thank you. So, Bridget, will you talk to Lois tomorrow? Or should I call Lois to set up?
I'll get it set up.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll do the B part, the
Okay.
annual report. We had a busy year again. We ended up with 398 calls for the year. You guys have the paperwork there, but I can just tell it on TV that 67 of them were fire calls, 331 were rescue calls. The city of Cold Spring had 275 rescue calls and 38 fire calls. So this was a very busy year again. A little less than last year, I think we had 406 last year, so we're on the decline.
On the downhill
I don't
slide.
think so.
No.
No.
Ended up being 17,329 under budget for last year, so it was good. We ended up taking some money from the donations that people have given us to purchase pagers and things like that, so the companies have donated money, so ended up getting $1,000 back from insurance companies that pay us for car accidents and things like that, so that was good. Hopefully we can get a grant this year for purchasing a new fire truck, so shot down the last 4 years, so hopefully we can do that, but couple other things we ended up personally, I want to thank everybody who ended up cleaning out their fire hydrants. We didn't have to use them, thank God, but everybody who did, and then last night we ended up running around and cleaning out some more, so. Makes it easier for us, it can be up to 5 minutes of digging snow out of there, so that's 5 minutes that house can burn, so it can be pretty ugly. Just want to talk about the Fire Fest is July 27th this year. We got all 5 bands lined up. The headliners, Landco, Tyler Farr, Red Atkins, Chase Bryant, and then our opener is Julia Cole. So she's an up and coming singer for, I'm not sure if she's Nashville or she's local.
Yep, they're all out of Nashville.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for me? No?
Anybody got anything?
I don't have any questions, but I think it's safe to say that from all of us up here, we certainly appreciate everything the fire department does
Thank you.
and how much time people put in, but specifically to you, Dan. You basically live down here. I see you here all the time.
Pretty much.
I know. And it's a big, big part of your life. So I think from all of us up here, specifically to you,
Thank you.
good, we appreciate everyone else, but thank you for the time and effort and devotion that you put into that job.
I'm still married yet too, so.
That's a-
Not yet. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
That's it.
I think so, all right.
Thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, last night we were running around town and our tanker went down, so we are without a tanker right now. Ron is gonna be taking it and working on it over there as much as he can. Probably gonna be at least a week or so.
Oh, really?
Hopefully he can get it. But, he's gonna try to get as much as he can, and it happened last night, so it was like, all the departments, all the other towns around here and fire departments know about it already, and called them last night, so they're aware of it. Yeah, just to let you guys know about that. Alrighty?
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Dan. All right, number 6, revolving loan fund application from For Rent of Minnesota Incorporated, which is General Rental Center of Cold Spring. Jerry Otkin? Jeremy? Jeremy?
Jeremy, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hi. I'm Reva Van Fleet, and I represent the EDA tonight, and we are presenting a recommendation to the City Council to approve the $150,000 revolving loan fund loan to Jeremy Altkin for Rent of Minnesota, Inc. is their business name.
All right. Recommendation to accept the recommendation of the EDA and approve the loan application of For Rent of Minnesota Incorporated for a total of $150,000. I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion, how about a second?
Second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on that? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, thank you. Number 7, road maintenance agreement with Wakefield Township.
Yes, this is an agreement we have with Wakefield. It was reviewed in probably 14, maybe late 15, but had not ever been brought to the township or the city council. And it included some roads that, during my investigation, when they asked us to, Wakefield is looking to seal coat and crack fill Greystone Road. And then I was reviewing and consulting with the city attorney. I don't believe that road's in the city of Cold Spring. And so that had originally been in this agreement that the township clerk and the township maintenance personnel and the public works director at the time and Ron Fuchs had looked at. They had gotten together and gone over some roads to think which ones we could. Under state law, we're allowed to enter road agreements with the township. But it hadn't really been reviewed by anyone in administration, and then I looked at it and I didn't think that Greystone is a road that's in the city. So I talked with Heidi about it. We had some discussion. We did take it out so that we would have at least the agreed roads in agreement. They did approve it on Thursday night and have asked that we continue talking about not only Greystone but also 245th north of North Point. So for right now, this is the agreement that we know we are fully in agreement with. I have a signed version from the township, so I'm just asking for approval right now, and those other two we will keep discussing.
All right.
Question.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Do we know how much they plan to spend for improvements this year? And
It
what-
was
what our
close
cost
to,
would
our share would have been just under 5,200, I think it was, for Greystone. That's the only one that is part of this agreement that's on their list of ones that they're repairing this year.
be? Okay.
None of these other ones are on
They're
there,
not being repaired
not
this year.
being,
Okay.
not,
What about next year?
I have, that, they're only on this year's road maintenance agreement, schedule, so they haven't discussed next year's,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Just so I'm clear, so 245th and Greystone are not in this agreement?
Not in this agreement. So, 3rd Street south from the light, Hummingbird, Patch Lake, because we have Patch Lake Court, which comes out of Patch Lake Road and Patch Lake Circle, and the end of the Stock River Road, and then Chapel and Glen, which are how you get to like Cronin Valley and Wausau, that road. Those are the ones that we have on this agreement right now.
All right, recommendation to approve entering into a road maintenance agreement with Wakefield Township. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it?
I did have
Go ahead,
one
Shannon.
other thing. So if none of the ones that are in the agreement are in for this year at this time, is there something in there that they can keep us up to date on, or that for our budgeting purposes for next year and things like that?
That kind of is one of the reasons why this became important to have now,
Right.
and we will be having that conversation, because our budget is done
Right,
6
our
months
budget's
before
done.
them, so we'll have to make sure that going forward,
We include something.
yeah, that they give us a heads up. So
Okay.
right now, it's not on anything that would be in our last 6 months of this year.
Right.
So hopefully I'll know in September when we're doing our budget that they might have some of these on there to talk about, so we can include it as well.
Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 8, city engineer report, Brian Lynchen, along with John Stevie.
Where I sit at my chair.
As you can see, I don't have any request for action tonight again. Just a little update, we have confirmation that the pilot study is on its way from Georgia. It's supposed to be here tomorrow morning at 8 AM, so we'll get to the brewery and the unloading process goes smooth. It's a pretty big piece of equipment, so. They're gonna find time in their schedule to save us a dock for a little bit and get it unloaded. We'll probably get it kind of set up, things rolling, and then next week we'll do training on it with Ed Edge coming out. And we'll get our staff trained and do different samples and stuff like that, so we'll get it running probably next week.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people in the area that, you know, deal with water and things like that. Have already came forward and shown interest and wanted to come see it, and so, and I think that's when they get bigger eventually in the future.
Yeah.
So, the guys have been out busy cleaning storm sewers. A lot of snow, a lot of melting gonna be happening. Everybody's worried about it. So they've been out cleaning. If you do have them in front of your house and we haven't gotten to it, you know, feel free to grab a shovel and open it up if you are nervous about something happening. But we're trying to get them to it as fast as we can, but there is rain in the forecast, so
Yeah.
we couldn't get to them all, I'm sure.
That should melt into the snow.
Yep. Yeah, it should take care of it. Also, water freezing up, still have issues with that. I think we had 2 more on Monday morning.
Okay.
I think also Chuck Krebsbach, he called me this morning and theirs was close to freezing up and then it opened up after they opened some faucets. So keep an eye on the temperature of your water, and if it is below 36-ish, feel free to run it and call City Hall and let Lois know so she can mark on your bill.
All right.
So that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Anybody got anything for John? Questions for John? Okay. Brian Hitchin.
Mr. Mayor and Council. Alexander Park, just working on the design, working with the foundation, moving forward with that. We'll be a little bit looking at the snow piles out there before we break ground. We'll get there.
Well, July or August?
Close. Next thing on my list, we met, John and Pete and I met last week about County Road 158, First Street South. We had that televised last year. Knowing that the county is looking for that project to do a mill and overlay in 2020. They were actually looking this year. We asked them to delay until next year because we wanted to get a closer look at the utilities, the water, the storms, or the sanitary sewer, which is what the televising helped us look at. Pete spent a lot of time going through there, looking and trying to really be diligent and look at the materials and what's there, what's good, what isn't. Ultimately, we came to the conclusion that none of it's worth saving. Most of it would, based on the condition, needs to be replaced. There might be a block or two that has some that's iffy. In the end, we said what really needs to happen is they reconstruct a full sewer, water, everything from Red River to 14. So that was our recommendation, looking at the condition of the pipes, looking at the condition of everything else, the utilities mainly in the ground, knowing that the road would be, some of the road would be covered by the county, basically the pavement only, because they would do a mill and overlay, so we would cover everything outside of the blacktop. So it's advantageous to take advantage of that. If we don't take this opportunity, it's many more years down the road before they're going to contribute to that again. And if we continue, we've had several breaks a year, several issues a year with the digging in the road. If that continues and accelerates at some point, they're going to be upset with us digging up their new road, and we're going to have to replace it at all our cost. So based on that, our recommendation would be kind of what we've done in the past, is we'd like to hold an open house, invite the property owners along there, invite the public to come hear about what we think might be the project, learn a little bit more about the utilities, what's underground, what we saw, some of the rationale behind why we think this needs to be a project.
One of the biggest factors we considered, we did televise the sewer, and there was about 3 to maybe 4 blocks that was somewhat decent. It was still clay tile, but there really wasn't any cracks in it. So could it be lined? Yes. The biggest factor was the fact that there's a 6-inch water main that runs the length of it.
and it's cast iron, I believe. So we're gonna be replacing that anyway. The trenches are, 6 feet apart. Does it pay to spend the money on lining on those 3-4 blocks when we're doing that? We're talking a 10-block project, and we're gonna be digging water main right next to it. So we took that into consideration, and it just seems like it makes sense to replace it all at once. Patchwork necessarily isn't the greatest idea, always.
We've struggled with patchwork on some of our reconstruction projects in the past when, years back, we tried to save some money by replacing one utility and not the other, and it just never works out in the end. So we have a couple little tiny a couple little sections that are iffy. We decided, we need to just do it right the first time and get it all complete.
I agree.
So we were, if the council agrees, we were hoping that we could hold an open house. I put out the date of April 2nd. It's a Tuesday in between our meetings. So we figured we could maybe hold it at the DEF or somewhere, a little bigger space. I know that's where we held the County Road 2 one.
Yeah.
I don't quite expect the turnout that we had at the County Road 2 meeting, but nice to have it in a little bigger spot. So if the council's open to, having a public hearing or, talking more about the project, or if you have other, or, the potential project, if you have any other questions.
What do you guys think?
I think it would be a good idea.
I agree.
That gives
Do we
the,
need a motion on that or not? For the open house?
You don't have to, but it makes sense to, so it shows council action.
Gary makes a motion to have an open house. Your tentative date is?
Well, I put April 2nd out there. We haven't tried to reserve anything or done anything beyond me putting that date on the piece of paper.
So we'll just call it a tentative date of April 2nd? And if it doesn't work out, come up with another one?
Sure.
I'll be, between Brian and I, will send out notices to
Okay.
everyone who's every
Yeah.
address on First Street North and put it in the paper, so if it, or First Street South, if it stays that date,
Yeah.
we'll have it out pretty quick.
All right. I need a second on that then.
I'll second that.
Shannon seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, looking at the calendar, do we have to post that so long in advance?
It will be a special meeting if all 5 of you are there. Probably, if at least 3 of you, it probably will happen. It'll be a special meeting. You just have to post it 3 days in advance.
For the public though?
It's not a public hearing, it's just an open house.
It's just,
So we don't
But
have to have it posted?
But you're all gonna be there. If you don't actually take any action, it's just an open house and I have to post that there's a potential quorum. If you are gonna take any action, you can post it as a special meeting. And, but I don't know what action
We're
you'd
not
be
gonna-
I would
taking.
say
We're not
simply
gonna
open
act-
house.
We would
at
wait
this
until the
time.
next week, get it
Yeah.
out, to talk about what happened at the open
Yeah.
house. So, yeah.
yeah.
Usually it's a good time to just let, we invite the residents along there, listen to what they have to say. If they have any other, we've gotten some good information from the residents before that know something that maybe didn't show up in our records. So just a chance to have, we'll do a presentation and have a conversation about the area.
That's good.
All right. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
One other thing quick, Brian and I did talk, even if April 2nd, that date were to change, we would bring some of the displays or whatever we're gonna use at the open house to the community showcase as well at the city's table, so that there'd be another opportunity to notify citizens.
All right, anything else?
That's all.
That's all you have? Any questions for Brian? Otherwise, thank you guys very much.
Thanks.
Number 9, Police Department report. Chief Bloom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just start out with just a monthly update for February outside of dealing with the snow and getting people from point A to point B. In Cold Spring, we had 247 total incidents with 20 medicals, 5 suspicious activities, 84 traffic stops, and then 95 warnings with 31 violations. In those traffic stops, we had 4 narcotics violations and 2 other alcohol violations, and then 138 miscellaneous calls for service. In Richmond for February, we had 76 total incidents, 5 medicals, 4 suspicious activities, 27 traffic stops, 31 warnings and 10 citations. And in those, we had 2 narcotic violations and 1 warrant arrest, and then 40 miscellaneous calls for service. One other thing we talked about looking for approval is some of our laptops are getting old. They're getting to that 5 to 7 year range. Looking to replace 3 of them, and then all of them should be updated and hopefully get them kind of on a rotation plan. So looking for approval to purchase 3 laptops.
Oh, excuse me. Recommendation to approve the purchase of 3 Panasonic CF54 Toughbook laptop computers from Window Technology for a total of $7,347 from the Police Department budget equipment line item 6311. I need a motion. Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it, any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. There we go.
Thank you. And just one other thing, we started a hiring process for a part-time position last fall. Took us a little bit longer to get through it all. We ended up backgrounding 3 candidates and took our top selection from there. The top selection is going for a psych and physical later this month, so hopefully we should be, have them going here shortly, so we'll update. Okay.
Good.
Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thanks. Number 10, city administrator report.
First thing on there is a large event gathering application. There would be a fee associated with it. I was talking with Lynn Sherman about the Hometown Pride Festival, and some of the events are going to go a little longer, and and it's starting to spread out because it's getting so it's nice and big and a great event. And I asked her if she ever submitted one, and she hadn't, and I reviewed with some cities that have large events like that, but they do have a form, they don't have a fee, and what it is to help coordinate for police and fire who's responsible for what activity, where that's located, how you get that information. And so that was something I thought, just for ease of getting it back and forth to the fire department, to public works, to police, to have it all written on a form, as opposed to making constant phone calls. And so I thought I'd bring to you a request for you to approve the form, and we would start using that for Hometown Pride, probably the St. Boniface Festival as well. Maybe Let the Sunshine Run, and other larger, over 150 people anticipated. It would exclude the park rentals because we have a rental form, we have a fee that they sign, and those don't typically get to be 150 or so people. So that's what I'm requesting.
Recommendation to approve the large event gathering application form. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve, I need a second then.
I'll second that.
Shannon seconded, any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Next is the store grant acceptance. Each year, the county sends out a request for us to apply for a grant. They are able to reimburse us for the expenses we pay when we collect materials down at Public Works and then take it to Eastside Oil. So every year, I send in my form and just need approval to accept it when it comes in.
Recommendation to accept the Stearns County SCORE grant for reimbursement of costs associated with the waste oil collection site. I need a motion. Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Number 11, list of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a
Shannon makes a motion, Jamie seconds
I'll
it.
second it, pay the bills.
Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 12, general questions and comments from city council. Jamie,
Nothing from me.
Doug,
Nothing.
Shannon, Gary. I have nothing. Actually, we both, 13 and 14? Okay. Now we're gonna have a closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13B.05 subdivision 3A to conduct a performance review of firefighter Rick Hansen. Number 14, closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D.05 subdivision 3C3 to develop and offer to purchase property within the city of Cold Spring, specifically parcels identification numbers 48.29101.0025, 48.29401.0016, and 48.29317.0020.